Good morning. My name is Kira Rizzuto, and I am the Program Development Manager for Arts Ed New Jersey. And I am very glad to be joining this morning with our partners in the Culturally Responsive Arts Education Workout. Wendy Lisko, Sanaz Hojra, Latasha Castro-Lala, who have been so dedicated to the deep work that they are doing to develop culturally responsive education, and in particular in our partnership together, culturally responsive arts education. So I'm glad that some of you are here with us live. We are recording just in case there are some folks who were not able to join us and may benefit from this open forum for questions. So I would invite you, for those who are here, to please come with your questions and don't hold back. So anything that you might ask, someone else might benefit from learning the answer to as well. So with that, I would love to turn it over to the team. And once again, just to say thank you for making this info session possible this morning.
Good morning, everyone. I will echo just our gratitude of seeing you here today. And we're looking forward to sharing information about the Culturally Responsive Arts Education Workout. But first, let us introduce ourselves just a little bit. There are full bios on the website, artsednewjersey.org/Crae workout. But I'm Wendy Lisko, and I come to this work with a deep interest and commitment to equity in arts education. I began my work career in education and transferred shortly into that career, into a 20-year career in the theater as a professional director and dramaturg and producer, and then spent another 20 years in philanthropy. And most of that work was focused on arts education and the arts, and most recently very invested in ensuring that every child has access and participates in the arts, but also that it's culturally relevant, responsive, trauma-informed, and socially emotionally engaged. So I'm very excited about doing this work and sharing the learning from many others. Also on our team is Latasha Castro-Lala, and she's going to introduce herself.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're super excited to have you with us on this journey of learning and growth. My name is Latasha Castro-Lala. I'm currently the supervisor of visual and performing arts for the Passaic Public Schools, and I'm very committed to this work because I'm a product of it. I'm so excited to be here with you. I've served in a number of roles, from classroom teacher, music teacher, assistant principal, and district supervisor. So bringing those lenses to the conversation and looking at how we apply this work to what we do with teaching and learning. So looking forward to growing with you on the journey. And I'd like to welcome Sanaz.
Good morning. It's always hard to find that unmute button. Like, where did it go when you're sharing your screen? So good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. And my name is Sanaz Hojra. I am a theater artist and spent about 16 years at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center as the assistant vice president for arts education. And from there started doing consulting work and working with various different organizations in different capacities in schools and identifying needs. And one of the things I think we realized early on in our work together, the three of us, is that there's this concept of culturally relevant education that's been around for a while, that term, that philosophy, that perspective, but we haven't really drilled down to how that then applies to our field in arts education. And how do we become intentional about unpacking all of this work with our colleagues and being honest with ourselves, with our students, with each other about what it is that we need to do as arts educators? So I'm super excited to engage with all of you on that journey and on that conversation. Our agenda for today is just to talk about why culturally responsive arts education is important. what is this workout thing we keep talking about and referencing, and then ultimately how you and your colleagues can engage in this work. Wendy?
What's so important about this work is that, you have to create a space for the conversation to happen. And we feel, as Robert John Meehan, who is a poet and an educator and a public school ally, says in this quote, the most valuable resource is our teachers, that they have each other, and without collaboration, the growth is limited to our own perspectives. And this culturally responsive arts education workout and guided conversations creates the space for that conversation to happen. And what we work very hard to do is build a container that allows for safety and brave space and an opportunity to share ideas and learn together. What we will be doing, as shared on the next slide, is looking at culture. And as you may know, culture has multiple perspectives. And this iceberg really helps us to sort of talk about the parts that we see above the line, the water line. These are the things that we spend a lot of time talking about when we talk about culture. Often in schools, when we have festival days or monthly celebrations, these are the things we talk about a lot in the arts. Because arts are about culture, our customs, the traditions, the different dress, the music, the symbols, the heroes, the artists, etc. That's visible culture, and we will talk about that. We will also be going deeper below the waterline and talking about issues around invisible culture. This is the kind of culture that we talk about, our belief systems and our perceptions, our values, our attitudes, our biases, our loves, our assumptions about people, and our worldviews. And even maybe looking at how we were taught to teach, and how we learned art ourselves and how we carry that forward. So we're excited to introduce that concept about the above iceberg and below the iceberg waterline. We will also be using a book as sort of the center of our thinking, because we found it was Davina Lozano's book early in our process and thought, this story says it all. We often show the 7-minute video. You will get access to the video when you sign up and join the workout. But it's a story about a young girl who is given at birth a physical / metaphorical suitcase. And as she grows up, her family and fills it with love and with her culture, with the kinds of food she eats, her ideas, their values, all those things above and below the waterline on that iceberg. And then she goes to school, and she has asked to hand over her suitcase. She gives her suitcase to the teacher when she enters the door, the principal, and then is given a new suitcase. And she mourns losing her suitcase, but she does what she needs to do. She fills it with new traditions, new language, new ideas, some that don't fit well, but she adopts them. And she eventually goes to college, and she sees that some people have 2 suitcases and wonders about that, and starts sort of understanding and investigating her old suitcase and her old culture, or the culture that she had to give up at the door. So throughout this process, we will be referring to culture as our suitcase. We'll be examining what's in our own suitcases. We'll be looking at what could be in our students' suitcases, and we'll be providing sort of windows and mirrors, windows to other people's cultures and mirrors to our own culture and how we respond to them. Next slide.
And so what is this guided workout and virtual conversation? we realize that those who are interested and want to join us on this journey are really committed to learning more about culturally responsive teaching and practice and developing that mindset for decolonizing curriculum and anti-racist teaching. And so we appreciate that and we realize that. And so there will be a lot of content in that frame. We also have this asynchronous component to it that you really can take your time looking at, reflecting, and reviewing the materials that we provide. And this will be looking at through the lens of the individual, ourselves, the interpersonal, our connections with students, with colleagues, and then the institutional level, our systems. And we also realize that the state of New Jersey has finally adopted the New Jersey Arts Standards, the new adapting the federal standards in the arts. And we realized that this is the time, and I think through November 2022 is when our districts have the opportunity to revise their curriculums and submit them. So this is the time for us to embed equity in those curriculums. This is the time for us to embed culturally responsive education in that curriculum. And so we will spend time, and Latasha will unpack that a little bit more and what that will look like for us. Through this process, there will be hours of professional development that can be provided through our partners at Arts in New Jersey for those who are participating in the virtual guided conversations. You will show up, we will take tally, you will be given an exit ticket throughout that conversation, and you can get your hours. And ultimately, this is a way for us to join in a community. Sometimes our arts educators in our schools are by themselves. They're one of one or one of two, and there's not a lot of other people to talk with about this work and how to necessarily apply it through the arts education lens. And we realize we want to create a community and a network for our folks who are the heads of visual and performing arts in districts, give them the opportunity to connect with each other and to really intentionally build that opportunity for self-discovery and applying that learning to the curriculum itself. So how can you participate, right? There are two ways that ultimately we see you participate. One is the asynchronous component. From January 17th through March 11th. And we picked the January time because we realized that January is that promise of new, that hope of 2022, that commitment to something fresh. We've had some crazy past couple of years. We're ready to turn the page. So let's turn the page together. And what will happen through January's March is Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You will be emailed prompts from us, and they will have opportunities for reflection, opportunities for reading, viewing, etc. And then if you choose, you can also pick the synchronous component, which is of the virtual guided conversations that will happen 4 times over the course of the 8 weeks. It would be every other Tuesday from 4 to 5:30. And there is an optional extra half hour for those who are interested in turnkeying the virtual guided conversations with their colleagues. It could be a part of your PLC, it could be part of your staff meeting, but if people want to do that, we'll spend a little extra time with you all, getting you to get prepared about how to do that with your colleagues. So what does the asynchronous component look like? This would be something like a sample prompt. You would watch the video and we would provide the link to La Maleta. It would give you a summary. It would give you an approximation about how long that would take. And then we would have the reflection prompts. What did the story make you feel? How does this reflect on your own experience? What do you find in your suitcase? Maybe what the characters are that you identify with. And then we do have, because we are artists, an art making prompt that you can choose to participate in. And for us, it's that keystone that Wendy talked about that art making experience, about what's in your suitcase. Maybe you create one of your own. Maybe it's a shoebox. Maybe it's a jewelry box. It's whatever you like. This is actually a sample from one of our participants last summer who participated, who sent us a picture of the shoebox that she created out of a Kleenex tissue. And in her suitcase, she put various images of where her family was from. And in it, she had pictures of her children and things like that. So it's really the opportunity for you all to figure out and bring a creative bent to this idea of our cultures and bringing our cultures along with us. And Latasha's going to share with us more about the curriculum scorecard.
So in our daily work, we know that it's important that we're allowing students to bring in pieces of who they are into the classroom. And really see how that connects to the learning that we're giving them in skills and techniques and whichever of the art mediums that we're working with. And so the curriculum scorecard is this wonderful tool that we've adapted for the arts to really begin to examine what are the experiences that we're creating in our classrooms. How are those experiences shared? Are we having elements where there's representation, where we have diverse artists that are being presented to our students? And so this scorecard really allows us, we work with you in the process to analyze your curriculum as it currently is right now, especially as we are all preparing to revise our curriculum because of the new standards that take effect in 2022 in September. And so you get the opportunity to look at what is that tally? Who are we telling stories about? How are we highlighting them? And when are we highlighting them? Looking at what are the perspectives, the characters, the styles, and the genres that we are celebrating? Does that connect with the students that we're serving? Is it absent of some of the pieces? And what's in popular music, what's in popular art, theater, dance, really taking a holistic approach so that you have some direction on what you can look at. So when we're taking these pieces into consideration, it also takes in saying, hey, what are some of those state mandates that we have to make sure we have within our curriculum? Because we've had such an increase of those over the last few, I'd say 2 years. And there's pieces that maybe we aren't even aware of. So really looking also at what are some of the resources and materials we're looking with our students, and how do all of these wonderful pieces connect with social justice, with advocacy, and relates to the standards. So as we want to make sure that we're giving students high quality opportunities to learn within the arts, and then more importantly than that, making sure that we have representation for our students so that they can see and view and celebrate all of the wonderful beauty that art is creating within our society. This scorecard helps. It gives you some really clear, specific, tangible pieces. And it's a great way to kind of launch that process when we think about equity and inclusion from diverse perspectives, no matter what population you're serving. We want to make our students as best prepared to be global learners and global members of the artistic community. So the next thing that we're also going to do is give some folks some options around pieces for family engagement. This is a wonderful list of pictures, films. I say the media art spectrum is coming in. We're trying to pull that in hard. And so what we try to think about is not just having this conversation from a professional perspective, but taking some time to engage and have conversation with those who are around you in your circle. And so there are a number of films that are here featured. Some are for an older audience because they have some context and some information that may be a bit heavy. But then we also wanted to make sure that we're engaging children as well. So we've had some interesting pieces like Jingle Jangle and Coco, and just showing how is the culture, how is representation seen in these pieces. And if I had to take that and just reflect back on what I do on a day-to-day basis with the students in my classroom, are these opportunities available to them? So these are great pieces that we do. There's an option in it. Many of these things are offered on different types of platforms. Some of them are free available on YouTube, while others are on other platforms that many individuals have. But the beautiful part is it really allows you to engage from a number of different lenses, some of the perspectives, and to reflect the work that we're doing and discussing in this particular workout with some of the work you're doing in your day-to-day practice with how things come together from a societal view. So it's a great option that you're able to take advantage of and come on this journey to have open dialogue in a safe, comfortable environment with people who want to grow with you on the journey.
Thanks, Latasha. So all of this is free thanks to our partners at ArtsEd New Jersey. There is no cost to register. There's no cost to engage. the one thing that we do ask is to do a post-session survey as a part of your experience to let us know about the impact that you see and you're experiencing. Approximately, it will be like 30 minutes for the 3 days that we send you information. There's additional self-reflection and community sharing time to increase the impact if you so choose. So to me, this is like a great opportunity. And now for the guided conversations, as I mentioned earlier, they will be every other Tuesday from 4 to 5:30. And those dates are January 25th, February 8th, February 22nd, and March 8th. And what's great about it is if you're doing this as a team, you don't necessarily need to come to every one, because you can send one of your teammates and that teammate can turnkey that information back to the team. That's a win-win situation. You can, again, create your own PLC around it. There's a community that's thinking about doing it in one of the towns in New Jersey that is going to try to pull together teaching artists and classroom educators and folks. So this could be larger than just your school or your school district. It is up to you. And for those who are engaging in the guided virtual conversations, you can gain up to 8 hours of professional development credits. And again, that's through our partners at ArtsEd New Jersey. So I'm going to put the link in the chat for those who are interested, as well as a 2-page summary. And then we can jump to questions.